Welcome to Dolly Bikes Workshop. Now this video came about because a little while ago in a reel I mentioned something that I refer to as foolproof brazing. Every now and then now I get questions asking me what is foolproof brazing, how do we do it, can I be foolproof, please can you help me be foolproof. And I have to say I'm sorry to have misled you, sir, but no, I can't really help you because although I call it foolproof, what I really mean is that it works in all sorts of different scenarios, lots of different types of joint. I use it for anything that's particularly tricky. In that video I was brazing an 8mm plate to a 2mm piece of tube, so that's a perfect example of where I would use this foolproof technique. Essentially it's just super simple, and you're removing as many variables as you possibly can, and reducing the chances of things going wrong. So I set up a load of practice joints, demo joints, and tried to film this, and I found that it was taking up too much of my workshop time. I was trying to get the camera just right so you could see exactly what was going on, and with the setup that I've got, I don't think it's going to work. So we're going to take the pressure off. I've got a nice clean bit of 35mm 4130 here. I'm going to show you the foolproof technique, the technique that I actually use on tubing, because I don't use the foolproof technique on tubing usually, and then I might have something else to show you as well. See if we can get it done in one shot, and yeah, let's get it. So got a number 2 tip in my torch handle, 4 psi at the regs. I do use a gas flux though, but it's turned off at the moment. I always use paste and gas flux, and I use 1.5mm SIF bronze 101 rod. Going to be using, I do use a fairly small flame anyway, but obviously with this demo on this piece of tube I'm going to be using a fairly small flame. The number 2 tip give me a slightly broader flame than I usually work with. So first of all, this is the foolproof technique, or what I call foolproof. Let's see how we go. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing with the rod and the torch. Essentially, you just lay in a series of tacks and you flow each one forward before filling over the top of it. If you check out our Instagram, you'll see me where I've used this for joining brake tabs. Anything that is thick to thin, I use this. You can't really go wrong with it. Not got a very straight line there, but hopefully you could see what I was doing. Now then, I actually don't remember where there we go. Don't touch hot things, Tom. Okay, here we go. So I've got a little bit of flux set up there. So that's, as I say, what I call the foolproof technique. I don't tend to use that unless I'm joining thick stuff to thin stuff, or anything that's tricky really. If I was making a motorcycle frame I might use that one. But the reason I don't use it, I've just got to join a little bit of rod here. The reason I don't use it for bicycle tubing is that I think it's a little bit heavy-handed. It's tricky to get the edges to wet out nicely, and one of the great things about fillet brazing is that you can do it in a way that is really sort of gentle to the tubing, and the tubing that we use is, you know, it's really thin. If you then go and stick a massive lump of bronze on there, you might be doing more harm than good. You need to have nice smooth transitions to complement the tubing. So This is the technique that I generally use on tubing. Let's see if we can get this done without burning my fingers. Cool down, please. Alright, so hopefully you can see the slight difference in what I'm doing with the rod here. Tubing's obviously already heated up a little bit from that last demo. Really hope you can see what I'm doing here. Right, so basically with the foolproof method, you're not doing any fancy business with the rod, you're just shoving it right into the root, wetting each tack out to where you want it, and moving forward. With the technique that I use on tubing, using the rod to help flow the edges out basically and create a smoother transition. So those are the two techniques that I generally use, and one last bonus one that I did earlier. Hopefully you can see that. I'm not going to show you exactly how I got that done because it's not a technique that I use, but it might be one that you find familiar. I'm not quite sure whether I'm doing it the way it should be done. I think there's probably only one man that knows the real way to do that one, and I'll leave it to him. Alright, thanks for watching.